Hello all the photography lovers! In this video I want to show you how to create so-called star-like bokeh using old manual M42 lenses. Let's start! One of the lenses in which the aperture blades form a star is Industar 50 f2.8. So when you step down to the value of f8 in this case, the aperture simply forms a star. So the scope in which you will have this star-like forms ranges from f6.3 to f9. This is a simple idea how to have such a background. In a moment, in a film, you will see how I handled it on a morning meadow. This is how it looks through a viewfinder of my DSLR with an open aperture of f2.8. The background is blurred, as in many M42 lenses with open aperture, when it's open full, of course, and the bubbles are round. I think nothing unusual. But when we change the aperture to 5.6, we have the stars now, and it looks fine. You can change the position in order to find more stars, or place the butterfly in a different place. We can step down a bit to aperture f8 to have better stars, but with an aperture 8 the background is not so blurred and it resembles much more a common documentary photo than some artistic one. So I think the limit is 7.1 or 6.3. Now we got 6.3, and I think it's enough. At this value the lens is very sharp, so we will have the whole butterfly sharp for sure, and the background is still blurred, and we got lots of stars. And here we have the final image. The butterfly is placed according to the golden ratio. The background is, I think, still well blurred, and I have taken it with at the aperture, I think f6.3 or 7.1. Stars are visible, but what's wrong with it? And I think that maybe you also think that the colors are wrong. Sometimes when we have cheap M42 lenses, it is hard to achieve first and fix the white balance in post-production. Anyway, here I created some gloomy atmosphere of the picture. Some people like it, some people not, but I couldn't handle the white balance and the colors in the way that were attractive to my eye. And this is the final image. You can of course decrease the saturation or remove some object from the frame, crop it or blur the background. All in all, the effect has been achieved. So we see the stars, we have the main object. And the lens that also produces this star-like bokeh, Vona 50 f2.8, which I have used a few years ago. This is the first image I have taken with my Canon 5D Mark II, the image before the post-production. So in the foreground drops, and I'd rather recommend you to find at least such a small foreground main object, because the stars appear only when you focus on something quite close. I didn't take any extension tubes, that was my mistake, so I couldn't come closer than, I don't know, 40 centimeters to the object. So I didn't take a real macro frames, but some close-up frames. But the stars are visible, the picture is quite interesting, And when we move to the post-produced one, it looks unrealistic, but that was my aim to change the mood and first preserve the foreground in the form of drops and increase the highlights within the stars. Some people may like such a frame, some not. It depends on your priorities in photography or on your aesthetics. Stalks covered with dew, so the depth of field is quite shallow, and when we move our sight beyond the sharpened place, we see that the number of stars increase. And one of the last pictures I have taken on this meadow is this stalk winding across the middle of the frame. When we crop it, we can see that the lens is quite sharp at the aperture f6.3, but most of M42 lenses, when we step down to at least f5.6, are sharp. At the end, I want to show you how does my Vona 50 works during the day. In my opinion, this frame is not so attractive for the viewer as those that I have shown you before on the meadow. When the stars are visible quite close, and when they shine, when they take some weird forms, it's okay, it's interesting, it looks artistic. But in this case, in my opinion, the background detracts the attention of the viewer from these two main objects, means the flower and the bee. So of course you can achieve some interesting effects during the day, but remember that when the stars are not quite close and the sun doesn't create some additional shapes, additional shadows, contrasts, the picture finally may smell some pseudo-artistic stuff. And that's all in this video. I hope you enjoyed it and got some knowledge that will help you to take more creative shots in the future. Thanks a lot, see you till next time.